Okay, so I am live on YouTube according to what my phone is telling me here, and I'm looking on my YouTube channel to just get everything set up and make sure that it says it's live. There I am. And moderation, okay, got it. And there's the little chat box, which I can look over here at on my big screen as I'm talking on the little screen here. Got all the sound turned off and everything. Oh, there we go. Good. Hello from Illinois. You sound great. Good. Yes, dad jokes. That's what I've been putting up dad jokes every day on my Facebook account because I am a dad now, so I get to do that. And in fact, we're going to talk about that a little bit. I made a couple notes here of some things that I wanted to kind of discuss. Hello, Houston, Portugal, Scotland. Wow, hey everybody. Utah, hi. Palm Beach, Florida. Hello. I feel lighter, thank you, and happier. Yes. Hi, Los Angeles. Hey, NorCal. Kansas City. Good. Everybody tuning in here. Excellent. I'm not going to pay too much attention to, the statistics and how many people are on and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Prescott, Arizona. Hello. I've got the comments just rolling on the screen here that I can see as I'm talking to you. Oh my God, Israel. Wow. Hello. ATL, is that Atlanta? Good to see you guys too. All right. So yeah, let's let everybody kind of get on board here. And before I get into all the really super important stuff that I'm going to talk about, I'll just let everybody get hooked up here. Maybe I will also send out a link here on Twitter just to throw this out there. Hello, and we are live now. And then there's the link. Let's see how that goes. All right. And good. All right. So, yes. Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. Wow. I'm sure I will eventually do a live stream with Tori. That probably will happen at some point. Hey, everybody. Details, like an in-depth video on the details on each of the OT levels and how people progress from one to the other and why it takes so long to complete some of them. All right. I did talk about that in my grade chart video. But, yeah, you should Aaron to tweet his own... Okay, whatever. Yeah, so Detroit. Hey, Detroit. If you, by the way, on that OT level thing, if you haven't seen my videos on the Bridge to Nowhere, then I think part 2 is the one where I go into all of the OT levels. So do check that out if you haven't seen that yet, and then maybe throw me any specific questions you have and stuff, because I tried to be fairly detailed on that, on those videos about the OT levels. And there's also, and this is something I'll just, since you commented on it, I'm going to bring this up, is, hey, Ontario, is my book. Okay, Scientology A to Xenu has a whole chapter about the OT levels where I go into a lot of detail about them, way more than I did in my videos. And I thought that was the right format for it, was in a book. So so I'm not going to make that into a video also because it's all there. So, okay, so that's that. Hey, Seattle. Okay, good. Yes, everybody coming on board here. This is great. I am doing good. Thank you. Yeah, check out my book. That's a good thing. And my book is on audio by chance, Diana. Yes, it is. You can find it on Audible, on Amazon. And I did not come here to plug my book. It's just in response to some of these questions and comments, I'm saying that there's information in my book. So, yeah, and you can get that audio book there too. All right, so good. Got a lot of folks here now. So, okay, we will get to your comments and stuff. Yes, I did narrate my book. I did narrate my audiobook. We'll get to questions and stuff in a little bit. I had a couple things that I just thought I would talk about from my trip Okay, this last week, my channel went into a little bit of disarray. In other words, I didn't post my regular Thursday videos last week or this week on Thursday because I was in the air flying on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and it was a 24-hour trip getting there and coming back, and it was just crazy. I've never done international flying before out of the country like that. The farthest I've ever been in my life was to Hawaii. And I've been out there a couple times for the Sea Org when I was doing recruitment and stuff. And Hawaii's real nice, but it's Perth, Australia is quite a bit further away from me than Downstat, yeah, than anywhere I've ever been before. So that was boy, those airline flights, man, Jesus. But oh my God, was it worth it? I would do it 1,000 more times to have experienced what I experienced. It was by far the best, definitely the best trip I've ever made in my life. And I have traveled a bit, driving and flying around in the West U.S. and stuff, and Toronto and all that. I can't say I'm really an international jet setter, but I've done enough travel, that I feel I got around a little bit, but nothing like this. This was the big one. This was really special. I posted already last week a video talking about the purpose of the trip. I went out there to meet my son. That was really the only reason I went out there. Everything else that happened, any other ancillary benefits from the trip were really just, kind of good. Hey, Orlando. But that was the primary reason to go. And I talked about in my last live stream video, or not, it wasn't a live stream, sorry, in my last video, I talked about how that came about, that I had a son on the other side of the world, and that I'd never, gotten a chance to get out there and meet him. He's 25 years old, and that was quite a long time to have to wait. But I really never had any opportunity until I got out of the Sea Org. When he was born, I was a staff member in Santa Barbara, and then I a few years after that, him and his mother and I decided that it wasn't really going to happen, that I was going to get out there, and then I joined the Sea Org, and next biggest mistake in my life, and then I spent 17 years with that. So what I wanted to say here in this thing, and then go over some of your questions, is I wanted to say that this trip, I made a couple of notes here I'm referring to, is, this trip was all about perspective. During and after, and it's only, I've only been back for a day. I got over my jet lag, and I'm getting back in the run of things. And I knew it was going to be big. I knew it was going to be important. I knew this was going to be like, this really, life-changing sort of thing to get out there, for one, to do that kind of travel, to see another country, to experience that for, more than a day or two. I knew that was going to be big. And of course, I knew meeting Josh was going to be, the ultimate. But there's a big difference. There really isn't any substitute for experience. And you can know something, you can intellectually know about something, but then when you actually go and experience it, there's just there's no way to predict or tell how that's going to feel. And it's awesome. I mean, awesome. And this was not a one-off. This isn't like the only time in my life or Josh's life where we're going to interact, or where we're going to meet. We had, when Scientology put up that hate page on me, there were some real lies in there about how he didn't want to see me, didn't want to have anything to do with me. That was an utter lie. They got so many things wrong on their hate page about me, the Scientology did. His mother and Josh were both more than happy to have me reconnect with them, and they were more than happy for me to come out there and visit. I've been Facebook friends with him for years now, and so we've interacted, right? And his I found out when I got out there, I found out firsthand how the internet out there in Australia is not quite as good as it is here in the States, right? So I understand now why some of our communications have been a little touch and go. And also the time differences. It's not really, you don't really appreciate it until you live it. And then you go, wow, this is just trying to, interact with Melissa while I was out there, and the time schedule, I mean, it was totally whack. So we've had some barriers, Josh and I have, in interacting over all these years. But we've managed to work it and make it happen. And then I said, I finally made it happen. And I'm going to say that one of the things that actually made that trip happen was the support that I get from you guys. In so many ways. I mean, one, the moral support, and the emotional support that you guys have given me on this channel over the last few years that I've been doing this has really built up a lot of confidence and a lot of steam on my part to be able to, to get up the gumption to do that and deal with it and confront it and face it. But also just the Patreon support. I mean, I didn't have, when I came out of the Sea Org, I had no real credit line. I had no real resources or anything, and building all that up, it took a little while, right? But it was always, target number one to get there. That was the top of the bucket list, top of the flight list, top of the places to visit, was always Perth, Australia. There was never any place else I wanted to go first. So you guys really did help in a number of ways to make that happen. There's some comments here about the hate page. When I was on Leah, let me just talk about that for a second. When I was on Leah Remini's show, the day after I was on her show, and that was on season 1, about halfway through the season, they did a Q&A episode. I think it was actually around episode number 5 of season 1 that Leah did an Ask Me Anything Reddit show, and they called me up and they invited me to go out to LA and be on that show. And that was a great experience meeting Leah. I'd already, knew Mike and that sort of thing. And it was awesome. And then but the next day, just exactly like Leah and Mike predicted on the show, the church put up a page about me. And that page called me a deadbeat dad. That was their attack vector, right? They were going to go in on me with, I am an irresponsible, horrible, awful person who should not be believed because I am conceited and full of myself for daring to call myself a critical thinker, and that I had not taken care of my son, and that my son was, that I was just this horrible person who engaged in all these illicit affairs and all that kind of stuff. Okay, with totally, hyperbole and exaggeration and half-truths and untruths. So that happened, and it bothered me. Okay, it did. It didn't bother me a lot because I knew it wasn't true, but it did, a little bit on that thing because, I knew that I needed to get out there and meet him. It didn't bother me because I was a deadbeat dad, because I had no choice in that matter. Having worked for Scientology all that time, I was making pennies an hour. So for them to, call me that was pretty stupid. But like I said, I wanted to get out there and got the perspective on doing that. So that's how the hate page affected this thing. Okay. Now here's the thing. Here's one of the points I wanted to make in this video. Is the perspective that I gained from going out and making this trip was huge. And this is just within, I just got back. I am sure that I will have more, realizations or more epiphanies or whatever happen as I continue to think about this and look at this. But the perspective already was huge. Because here's one of the things. I came to realize that everyone in Scientology suffers from disconnection. It's not just the people who speak out and come out and have, to deal with not connecting with their, being able to talk to their family or their friends anymore. It's because Scientology itself actually disconnects you from your life, right? It takes you out of the real world. It puts you into a bubble world. Now, I'm talking about this in terms of what Scientology does to you, and I guess I should say, in that you do this to yourself too. I mean, this isn't like, they just come and wake you up in the middle of the night or something. I mean, you are an active participant in what goes on, but you're not an informed participant in what's going on, right? This isn't, the terms of service do not state clearly what you're getting into when you sign on board with something like Scientology, and this is true for all destructive cults. And so, when you go into this bubble world of belief, this prison of the mind that is Scientology, you are disconnected from reality. You're disconnected from your connections. You're from your family, from your friends, in so many ways. And this was a big one for me that was so big, and it was such an unknown, and it was such a harsh and not final, but just heavy. It was such a heavy disconnection in my life that I didn't even realize what I was missing. I didn't realize how big of a thing this was. I mean, kind of intellectually, I sort of knew. But like I said, there's no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for getting out there and living it. And that's what I kind of learned on this thing is that everyone in Scientology suffers from disconnection, not just people who speak out and get declared suppressive and no longer can talk to their Scientology family or friends, right? So that was kind of important because I realized that you lose sight of what is important. Because here's the thing. I'll talk about this in my terms, or I'll stop saying you. I joined Scientology. I joined the Sea organization thinking I was saving the world. I was making the grand gesture of gestures. I was putting my all into the most important thing that could possibly ever be done. And there wasn't anything more important, right? And I was looking for it earlier, I didn't find it, but maybe I'll dig it up. There's a quote from Hubbard where he talks about how Scientology is the one thing senior to life because it describes and explains all of life, right? So when you buy into something like that, then when I bought into that, Dave, sorry, I bought into the idea that there wasn't anything else that I could possibly do or be involved in or say or be connected to that was ever going to be more important than what I was doing. And this is why I've said that there is nothing more dangerous to the world at large than a young person who thinks they're saving it, right? Because that was me. And I was absolutely positive I was saving the world. And this kind of thing gives you a really skewed perspective of everything, right? Because, right? It's so obvious in hindsight, and I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but it's pretty stupid. Because the perspective of everything gets lost when you're aligning everything to that view, that this one thing in my life is more important than anything else that I could ever do, that anybody else could ever do in all of history, in the entire universe, right? It goes even beyond Earth. So that is where I was at, and good point on this comment that Melanie just made here, which is that everyone in Scientology is in that's where they're at. And you go, how can they, people ask all the time, how can people do this? How can people think this? How can people, go along with disconnection? How can these Scientologists be so stupid as to think, fill in the blank, whatever it is? And, well, here's an answer for you, is because they have accepted and taken on this idea that what they're doing is more important than anything else. And I have a new perspective now on how wrong that was, okay? Yeah, and here's the reason why it's wrong, okay? At least for me, here was the reason why it was wrong for me, is because, saving the world, being a martyr, doing good in the world. That's all great, and it's really nice that when you think that's the big important thing, but you forget what good actually means. If you don't have a life, if you don't have a family, if you don't have those connections, if you don't have love in your life, if you don't have something that is actually meaningful that you can look at and touch and hold and feel and be and experience, then what are you saving? What are you doing all that work for? Right? What does your life actually mean? And and it doesn't really mean a whole lot if you don't have those things. Right? It sort of becomes this theoretical thing. And in fact it's kind of like what I mentioned with the, if you're not experiencing it, if it's a sort of if you have this intellectual understanding that you're saving the world, it's a cold-hearted sort of a thing, because you don't have that, you don't have that love in your life, right? You don't have that meaning. You don't have anybody else you can share the joys and the happinesses and all that with, and that's really what makes life so good to live. And I kind of was missing a big part of that with not having Josh in my life, right? So much so, and again, because I didn't live it, and I didn't experience it, I didn't know what I was missing. So that was the, ding, right? Yeah, exactly, aha moment. So this trip gave me a lot of perspective on a lot of things, right? I knew I had a son. But until this trip happened, I wasn't really a dad. So that was a really overwhelming feeling of joy and responsibility. Like, whoa. Right? Now, he's a fully grown person now, right? He's 25 years old. Great guy. So smart. Amazing. And I couldn't believe how much we had in common. It was a little part of me was kind of watching the whole thing from afar, looking at, well, what are the genetic commonalities we're going to have? What are we going to have in common, even though we never talked about these things, right? And it was amazing. I mean, we talked about movies like half the time. And because he's a filmmaker and he loves doing, he makes films, he makes videos, he's got a YouTube channel. And he doesn't post as often as I do, but he's on there, right? And he's just doing some really fun work, and he's got big ideas and plans and things he wants to do. And so I thought that was kind of hilarious. But we also had a lot of stuff that we just thought about the same way, the way we get along with people and the way we view the world and things. It was interesting. It was so interesting seeing all that. So that was pretty cool. That was actually a lot of fun to see how he had come out. And to be honestly, I said this in my last video and I'll say this again. Kudos to his mom. Like every kudo I can possibly extend. We did not meet while I was there. She's still a Scientologist, and I could care less. As I said before, I don't even care. She did an amazing job raising him. He's just, awesome. Probably when this goes up, I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description. It's called Guy with a Wheel 23, and I'll post a link to it on the description after I'm done with all this. So you guys can check out his work. It's a little dark, but he's doing some kind of fun stuff with anime. That's kind of fun. He's taking an anime and repurposing it and re-dialoguing it, and it's kind of an interesting set of stuff here. And his mother was awesome also in that she did not force him to be part of Scientology. He did some kids courses just like I did, but he never got pushed. He was, she was awesome that way, and she is awesome that way, because she's just a very sane, rational person, and she's got her beliefs, and I'm not gonna bag on those. You know, I look at her as Josh's mom. I don't look at her as the Scientology staff member in Perth. You know, I mean, that she had nothing to do with us being, you know, us being apart or any of that. You know, if she'd had her way and I'd had mine back then we would have been together. But that didn't work out, and that's fine. I just want to make sure that it's totally clear that I got nothing but respect for her. So, that all being said, there was one last thing I wanted to share with you guys, just to show kind of that it is what it is. And that was a response that I got that I believe was from Scientology, and I'm going to see if I can find it here. It is when I got back, the day I got back, I got a comment on my blog, and I approved it. I put it up on my blog, and I responded to it. And it's on mncriticalthinking.com in response to, as a comment to the video I posted last week. And it's come from some guy who calls himself Steve Peralta. And I believe he is a Scientologist. I don't think that's a real name. Or he's might be a private investigator who's hired by Scientology. I don't know. He's sent me nasty grams before. And I don't think I've posted them on my blog. But in this point, and this was the only negativity that I got in the entire time that this whole thing has been going on, as I've been talking about it. And he sent me an email and he said, "You are a complete failure both as a father and as a man. This is disgusting. You let other people raise your son, and now, 25 years later, you think a short vacation fixes everything. If you don't get that, you clearly aren't capable of any real critical thinking." All right. Now, this one did not get to me at all. This means nothing to me. The reason I'm talking about it is because I wanted you guys to, you know, see that the Scientology, man, they do take their pot shots at me. You know, I don't get followed around by private investigators, and I don't have people trying to mess with my, you know, my life too badly, but I get these pot shots. And this was absolutely, I mean, who else would send me that? You know, I mean, out of hundreds and hundreds of comments that I got, emails, tweets, Facebook messages, you know, out of all of that, and it's all positive, and then I get that the day I come back, right? Right. Sure, that's not Scientology. It's always worse than you think, right? So anyway, I just wanted you guys to kind of know that they are still alive and kicking out there, and as much as we like to, you know, look at what they do and kind of just go, oh, those crazy Scientologists. They're out. They are trying, right? They're trying to take those shots, and they lose. So now, all that being said, let's go ahead and look at questions, including this first one here. Am I ever going to do an interview with my son? I am not. At least not unless he says he would like to do that. I'm not going to ask him to. He is not a public figure the way that I have put myself out here to do, right? He does his thing, and I am, and he is not. The whole Scientology thing really doesn't matter to him. It's just not an issue. It's not a thing, good or bad or indifferent. He really doesn't care about it one way or the other. As well, he shouldn't. So I got nothing on him, you know, just living his life. And I'm not trying to make him part of my channel. What I'm talking about here with my videos is me and what happens to me. And this is one of me vlogging a bit more so than I've ever done in the past. A lot of my, you know, my channel was set up kind of purposefully to not be about me so much. But over the years, you know, people have started to, you know, want to know all about me. And I'm, you know, there's nobody more surprised than me that anybody cares at all, you know, about me personally. So, anyway, so this channel's not about him. So I'm not dragging him into this. He is not part of my fight. He's not part of my, you know, activism against Scientology or something. And I hope that is sensible. I hope that makes sense. Because he, you know, it's not any part of what he's doing, right? He's living his life, and I want him to keep living his life the exact precise way he wants to. So I'm going to leave him alone to do that, right? and just carry on with what I'm doing. Okay, thank you for telling me that makes sense. I appreciate those comments, guys. All right, now I look much younger. Thank you. I feel a lot younger. This was a life-changing thing. In case I haven't made it clear, this trip changed my entire life. You just can't help but be that way. I don't know how anybody could possibly go, experience something like this and not just be like, have their whole perspective change, because mine sure did. Like I said, it went from the intellectual understanding to the, okay, I really get it now. And, and there really isn't, once you experience something like this, it really makes it even harder for me to understand, actually, how people put up with the disconnection in Scientology. It really does. Like I all the things I've said are perfectly valid, about the mind, the prison of belief and that sort of thing. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. I don't know how you could possibly give up family. It's just insane, It really is. All right. Okay. Yeah, my face hurts from smiling. Okay, let's see. Do you guys have any other questions now for me, either about this or about anything else? Maybe this, maybe to start with, right? And if you don't, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of talk about some of these things and get them sort of off my chest, and let you guys know, again, from sort of a vlogging sort of perspective, what was on my mind about this, because I thought that this experience maybe might offer some more insight into the Scientology mindset and into also the recovery or healing or whatever, the journey here. So I thought that's why this might be an important thing to get on live and talk about. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, we do look a lot alike. He's got my nose. I'm willing to say some of the things that we talked about. Okay. I'm just thinking about one thing. All right, I'll tell you about this one moment that was really quite special. For me, this is going to sound really stupid. I mean, this is just you're going to be like, that's just really stupid. But let me tell you. We were watching some movies, right? He's big movie buff, right? Really movie fan, and so am I. And so we were talking movies, watching some things. I had never seen A Clockwork Orange, the old Stanley Kubrick, with Malcolm McDowell. I'd never seen it, and he really likes it. It's a movie that he likes a lot. So he gave me the DVD, and he said, "Let's, we're going to watch this." Or he said, "I want you to watch this," and I said, "Okay." So we watched one movie, and then I said, "Okay, well, let's watch this one." And he looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, no, I don't really want to watch that with my parents. I just, the violence and the sex and stuff, I don't think I want to do that." And it was so cute. And I looked at him and I thought, this is the only person in the world who could say that to me. Right? That he didn't want to watch this particular movie with me because he felt embarrassed to watch it with me because I'm his dad. And I thought, oh my God. And that was actually the moment where where shit got real. For me. That was actually the moment during the trip. It was I mean, seeing him at the airport was the first moment, of course, and just being with him. But that moment there where, there was a reluctance on his part to watch this movie with me. Anyway, it really blew me away. It was just kind of one of those stupid, cute things, and it was like, oh, I'm his dad. This isn't just somebody I'm hanging around with. Anyway, it was kind of cool. Somebody asked me earlier if he ever got angry, and no, he did not. Josh is not particularly at least with me, he was not angry. He wanted understanding of things, and I explained things to him. We had very, very good talks. about the experience of, what happened between him and his mom, what happened with me, why that all happened, what all went down and why it went down, how we reconnected and why. I explained everything to him. And he did have questions about that hate page. And we did answer all those questions, right? So that was all clear. So, and at no point did I detect an animosity or an anger towards me. And when I left, it was very clear that we are, we're good. And we'll continue to be good. I'm going to, definitely do anything and everything I need to in order to make sure that happens. Let's see here. How much better was it than you? How much better was it than you imagined? I imagined that this was going to be a big deal. I have no words. I'm going to be. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to have the words for it. It's an overwhelming feeling of joy. And like I said, responsibility. So, big deal on that one. Very big deal. How is your fiance feeling about all this? Great. She's ecstatic. She's very, very happy that this all was able to happen. She did nothing but support, right? And in fact, another thing, just so you know about Josh, is he and I and some of his friends were talking, and we talked all about how I'm getting married next May and what that's all about and how that's going to happen and stuff. So that was pretty cool too. What advice would you give to people who should reconnect with their kid? 1, do it immediately and at once, if not sooner. It is worth any barriers, anything any hills you have to climb, any sort of apologies that have to be made, any kind of making up that has to occur. It's family. It's your brood, it's your progeny, it's your it's your next in line. It's part of you. There's a person out there that's part of you, and always will be, right? There's no way to get around that. There's no way to disconnect from that. There's no way to deny that. And I guess if I had known that it was going to feel like this, if I knew it was going to be like this, I would have done it sooner or something if I could have, although I really couldn't have. I mean, this really was the fastest I could have done this. But, I've already said it was the biggest regret of my life to have not just dropped everything and gone there, and I only feel now 100 times more certain about that. Let's see. Thank you very much. You guys are really great, by the way. You guys are... all the support you guys give, it's just really awesome. Does your son have plans to come here for a visit? Yes. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to give any public information about when or where or how or any of that. But I am positive that we will be seeing each other again. Does he have an accent? Yes, he does. He was born and raised in Australia. He's from Perth, and he definitely has an Australian accent. And it's really cute. Let's see. Oh, hey, Newfoundland. Newfoundland. Sorry, Newfoundland, not Newfoundland. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Yeah, Hubbard tried to erase the family unit. Hubbard is just garbage, I mean, now that I know what it feels like, and now that I know what it's actually like to have this, I mean, how could you deny it? How could you, you want to talk about a deadbeat dad? Talk about L. Ron Hubbard. All right, but enough about that. Okay, let's see. I'm just kind of scrolling up here, seeing if there's any other questions. I'm willing to be open about this stuff, but I am going to tiptoe around a little bit just because I want to be mindful of Josh's privacy and that sort of thing too, right? I'm not going to just be a total open book about everything on this, but I do want to, answer your questions. Yes, I do. Somebody's asking me now that I have a passport, where else would you like to travel? I got a lot of places on my bucket list. I got all kinds of places. The more you guys tell me to stop smiling, the more I'm gonna keep smiling. I really want to go to Europe now. I really want to go to England. I have potentially. I'm sort of thinking about some things in terms of where I'm going in the future and what I'm going to be doing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now. And so travel might very definitely be is not even might be, it is part of this picture, and not just to go around and see sights. But I've got some places that I really need to get to, and there's some very, very exciting work being done in Europe right now that, as far as I can tell, is more where the cutting edge is on the kind of work I'd like to eventually get involved in, which has to do with, pre-radicalization prevention. Like working in the direction of trying to get people out of these destructive cult situations before it becomes an extremist, radicalized terrorist type of situation. I want to move in that direction, and at least that's what I'm sort of thinking about these days, in terms of what kind of good can I do in the world, and what do I have to offer? Because Scientology's great and all. It's certainly worth talking about in terms of educating the general public about the dangers of it. But it is one of 5,000 plus destructive cults out there, and there's a lot of work to be done to get to get these guys out of people's faces and get people proofed up to fight and resist these groups, because they're not going away. They prey on the weaker part of our nature, and we need to beef ourselves up. And I think education is part of that, and I think general awareness in the world of what this is all about and how these groups operate is important. And so I want to do work in that direction, and we'll see where this goes, which is why you've always seen me talk about on my channel how I want to broaden the subject matter of my channel and reach out to other groups, like the comment here about the 3 apostates. There are these other groups out there, and I want to do something about those guys. So you'll definitely be seeing more from me on that. What does your mom think about her grandson? Loves him, loves it, loves the trip, loves everything I did about this. I was in touch with her while I was there, and I'll be probably calling her tonight to give her the full debrief of the whole week. I haven't done that yet, because I came to you guys first. All right, let's see. What other questions do you guys have for me? I don't even know how long. 45 minutes or so we've been on. So let's see what else we can get in here before I'm going to have to get going. Let's see. Do you know if you will be appearing again on Leah Remini's show? I do not know if I will be doing that or not. I would love to. It'd be great if the opportunity presents itself. Depending on the subject matter, but we'll see. I don't know how much I can really am at liberty to talk about in terms of the show and stuff. I am still involved in with it, and try to help with it, and it would be awesome if I could be on, and if not, fine too. You know what I mean? It all depends on what's good for the show itself. Let's see here. Am I going to do more videos like the Bill Gothard one? Yes, it is a lot. He says, I know it's a lot of work, but those videos are so informative and interesting. I'd like to see more. Yes, I will be doing more along those lines. I don't know if I'm going to be doing more on Gothard specifically. I feel like what we put out there was actually really, really sweeping and encompassing, and I felt really good about what we put out there. But there might be more on that group or on other groups. Like I said, there's 5,000 plus groups out there to talk about. So yes, for sure. Did your mom always know you had a son? Yes, she did. from the very beginning. She knew. Let's see here. I watched the video where Tony Ortega was talking about a huge gyroscope that you get into to enhance your senses. I have not ever heard of this. What is this? Maureen, you're asking about superpower. That is a special series of rundowns that are done at the Clearwater Center and the Flag Service Org in Clearwater, Florida. That's the only place in the world where superpower is delivered. It is a super expensive series of actions that are supposed to enhance not only your senses but your ability to get on in the world and get along with others and get along with yourself, and it's supposed to supercharge you as a being, right, as a spiritual being, and it's a bunch of crap. So that's what superpower is. Oh my God! Somebody just donated $1. Thank you, Aftershock. That's awesome. I forgot that was even possible on this thing. That's the chat thing. You can apparently donate money. I forgot about that. Do you think David Miscavige will ever step down? Asks Tuna Baluna. No, I don't. I don't think David Miscavige has any such plans, and I don't think he would. I don't know that he could be compelled to do that, short of people, short of the cops coming with the handcuffs in hand. I don't think he has any such desire or motives, because I think that David Miscavige is a power vampire. I think that's how he gets on in life. I think that is what he, I think that's what keeps him going, is the rush that he gets from the adoration that people give him, and that's a megalomania. That is a kind of extreme narcissism, and we know what he's like when people are not sufficiently adoring him and admiring him and giving him what he wants, and he turns violent. So that's him, and so I don't think that there's anything else in the world that he could ever go do that would give him that rush, right? I mean, his Scientology is his thing. That's what he's been doing since he was 16 years old. He's got no other point of reference. There's not like something else he can go do. He's not a skilled administrator or executive, or what does his resume look like? What else does he do? Nothing. So I don't really see that he's going to ever step off. Two parents inside, there was a difference with him that he didn't get drawn in also. Yancey Kin is asking, Josh had 2 parents in Scientology. What is the difference with him that he didn't get drawn in also? He's smart. He's like my brother, actually. My brother never got involved in Scientology either. And my parents pushed it a lot harder on him than Josh's mom did on Josh. There are some people who just see it. They just get it. They just get. And in fact, there's a lot of people, more people than not, who can look at it and go, nah, this isn't for me. This just isn't appealing to me. This isn't what I'm looking for. And it's not that those people are immune to some other group or cult that's going to grab them up, right? Or possibly or potentially. Thankfully, Josh hasn't had anything like that. I think Scientology did kind of proof him up a bit, actually in that regard. But I couldn't say what it is specifically in his, Abdullah Mangata or whatever, what neurons were firing in his brain that were not, firing in mine, that prevented him from getting in. I'm just glad that they were there and that kept him out of it. So that was that. All right, so we're gonna be wrapping up shortly. Let's just see if there's any other questions here. Let's see. Remove that. Okay. Someone's standing behind me. All right. Chris, does Josh look a lot like you? Similar features. It would be a trip to meet a 26-year-old mini me. That says Caitlin. Hey, Caitlin. Yes, he does look like me. Kind of. He's got my nose. And he's kind of got some bushy brows, and that's kind of cool. But other than that, he looks like his mom. Okay, we're going to put that guy in a timeout because I'm not here to have other people say to go subscribe to them. Hey, Caitlin from Arkansas. Question here. Anybody asking about movie reviews? I stopped doing movie reviews on video. I set up another channel called The Critical Picture, and I was doing movie reviews there. It was time consuming. I love movies. I keep going to see movies, but it just took too much time, and for not really a whole lot of return on investment, really. And I don't mean financially. I mean just in terms of even how many people were watching them. It was kind of like, I'm putting a lot of effort into this. I'm not really getting a lot in return, so I kind of stopped doing it. I post stuff on Facebook now, but when I see movies and stuff, but otherwise, no. Let's see. Does Scientology advocate any certain type of diet? Not really. Although Scientology is very much into, or some Scientologists get into fads very easily. I've mentioned how Scientology is very much into conspiracy theory. So you'll get anti-science, anti-vax, GMO, all this kind of stuff. And so you will get fad diets. We had raw food diet, come over the base in Los Angeles at one point. And even in Scientology, even in the world of Scientology, the medical officers had to go, yeah, no, stop with the raw food thing. This isn't helpful. So that happened. But generally speaking, they're not any more or less susceptible to wooey diet stuff than anybody else. Let's see. Any other questions here? I have been watching the Scientology propaganda ads before watching your videos because I hear you get money for the ads that are watched on your channel. At least it costs them. Is that true? Okay. I'm going to tiptoe around this answer by saying that yes, that is true. No, I cannot endorse that in any way, shape, or form as a YouTube creator. So I will not, say, hey, this is something you guys should be doing. But it is true that is how ad revenue is generated on my channel. Let's see here. How do Scientologists view social workers? I work with several who help with getting people housing, insurance, medical care, etc. But they also provide counseling and therapy. Scientology is not really into charity a whole lot. It's not into, it's got a very conservative mindset, sort of strong father figure, sort of family unit sort of idea, right? Personal responsibility. It's all about you're responsible for your own condition, nobody else is, and therefore nobody else should be giving you handouts or anything, unless, of course, they're giving you loans of money so you can do Scientology. In which case, getting help and charity from others is 100% endorsed. So make of that what you will. Did I bump into Andy Nolch in Australia? No. I did not. No, that did not happen. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and wrap up here. One more question, I'm going to get going. Does Scientology change their program style or doctrine, or is it all set in stone as Hubbard laid it out? No, they've changed all kinds of things in the doctrine of Scientology. In fact, I'm going to try to get a podcast going with Mark Headley as soon as he's available, because he's got all kinds of information about how much editing was done of L. Ron Hubbard's lectures. And I can't wait to talk to him about that and get that out to you guys. I did not try Vegemite because I've already had Vegemite. Somebody asked me, did you try Vegemite? Yeah, no, I despise Vegemite. Ugh, hate that stuff. And everybody there laughed at me about it, but too bad. I hate that stuff. Anyway, as far as them changing the doctrine and stuff, they've been changing a lot of stuff. In fact, the books were revamped in 2007 or 6 or whatever it was, 5, and there were a lot of changes made. And Miscavige makes those changes, tells all the Scientologists that Hubbard told him to make those changes, and they believe him because they're a bunch of idiots. And me too, because I believed him when I was in. Okay, so I'm not just like, those guys. It was all of us. But they change whatever they feel they need to. What's telling is what they don't change. And what they do not change is the disconnection, the ethics and justice policies, the Office of Special Affairs, stalking and harassment policies, and all the things about how to get your enemies. None of that's ever changed. The more kind, beneficent stuff, that's the stuff that has changed. So, do a video, please, that Hubbard may have made up his program from what other cults were doing. Okay. I mean, I've said that a few times, but, you know. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to get going now. We do not have a specific date set on the marriage, but it may. It's sometime next May is what we're looking at right now. All right, so I'm gonna get going here, guys. This has been great. Thank you very much for participating with me in this. No more questions. I'm gonna go now. But again, thanks for being part of this. I will post this up on my channel, and then I'm gonna get back on my regular schedule of videos. You'll see a podcast tomorrow, and which I think you guys will probably find pretty interesting, by the way. And then back on the regular Q&A and Thursday videos. Bye-bye.